Good morning, Pineview. Welcome back to school. We're so excited to have you here. We hope that you had a great Christmas break and a happy new year. We want to welcome you back and go over some rules and routines just to get you back and ready for a new year.
All right, Panthers, it's so good to see you guys. Like Dr. Yost said, we want this year to be an excellent finish to the school year, and starting, we feel like this is a great time to be able to reset, recalibrate, and get going the right way. So, as we know here at Pineview Intermediate School at Fossil Ridge, we have our 5 character traits that we use as basically our school rules of being responsible, respectful, resilient, safe, and kind. And so these character traits are kind of who we are, not only in the classroom, throughout the school, and hopefully throughout life. So being respectful, there's a lot of different areas to be respectful, but I think a main area to be respectful is to the adults in class throughout the school, whether it's bus drivers, staff members, teachers especially, and being respectful to obviously our classmates. Being resilient. This is going to be quite a time of year where you're going to be given some difficult things, and so developing the trait of resilience will help you finish the year on the right path, doing hard things, doing well in the classroom as well. Being responsible. We know a huge part of being responsible is bringing our best self to school every single day, being prepared, being here on time each day, and we'll get into that a little bit more. Next one is we want to be super kind to everybody. We are growing up and we're all friends here at Pineview Intermediate, and we want to make sure we're kind to our classmates, our teachers, staff, and we're just putting off the beam of kindness to everybody. And lastly, our last character trait is being safe. We want every student to come to school here at Pineview Intermediate being safe and feeling comfortable so that they can bring their best self to school each day.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
So, when you guys are living the Fossil 5 and doing those things that Mr. Finlinson just talked about, you are eligible to earn things inside the school store. And so you can get things in the school store, and we have a ton of stuff. We've got gift cards and food and apparel. There is a lot of swag in there, and so we hope that you guys will continue to earn T-Rex bucks and come see the store. It gets better and better each week, and so we hope that you are working hard to earn your T-Rex dollars, and we'll see you there.
Dr. Yost, do you have a favorite thing in the school store?
Megaplex gift card so we can go watch a movie.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. And there's obviously some good books to read in there too. I like that. That was good. Okay.
Sigma, right?
Sigma. Yep. All right. Okay, so just a quick reminder and refresher. If you remember earlier, around like fall break time, Dr. Yost and I came into every single 6th grade class and 7th grade class. And we talked about our zero tolerance for bullying, harassment, and language here at Pineview Intermediate School. So I want everybody to kind of recalibrate, rethink about what that actually means. And so I'll kind of read through this. The first bullet point says to please respect others and keep your hands to yourself. Each person has the right to their own privacy, and we can't put our hands or touch anybody else or anything like that. One thing that we can always work on is using better, clean language at all times. We cannot swear. No swearing, no racial slurs, and no derogatory name calling. So what that basically means is anything that's going to put people down. One huge thing that has to happen with the swearing is we cannot use the N-word. The N-word is something that totally is not acceptable, and it's demeaning in many ways. Making sure that we're not using any bad language at school will be addressed every single time. That's what the last bullet point says there. Zero tolerance towards bullying, harassment, or teasing with malicious intent. Malicious is kind of a big word, but it basically means with bad intent. So if we're doing anything with the intent to not spread kindness, which is one of our character traits, that could be considered malicious. And I promise you, every single time that happens, it will be addressed properly.
Awesome, thank you. So moving right along with what Mr. Finlinson's talking about is with no tolerance. Oh, this keeps coming up. Is the no cell phone zone. Our school is a no cell phone zone. As soon as you get to school, if you have your own cell phone, it needs to be put away in your backpack and turned off so that it is not a distraction to the learning environment. And it needs to stay in your backpack all the way through the entire school day until the last bell rings at 2 o'clock. That's when you can pull it out. If you pull your phone out at any time during the school day without permission from an adult, then your phone will be taken away. It'll be brought to the office, and it will only be able to be picked up by a parent at that time. And so we want to make sure that we are focused on school work and not being distracted by cell phones. So make sure that you just leave them turned off and store them in your backpack, and then we can get them at the end of the day.
Okay, and one thing with that too is students, please remember the earpiece or like an AirPod headphone. That's part of the electronic policy. So when you come to school, as soon as you step foot on the school, that's when this is in play. And if you need to use a phone, you can use it in the office. So just step into the office. That would be the appropriate place to use it.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep. All right, so classroom expectations. So one thing that we want to review with you is, like we said, bringing your best self to school each day. We could call it your work for today or for each day. You want to be on time to all classes. So what that means is you're given time before school to hang out with your friends or whatever, talk. But once that bell rings, we need to go straight to class and be there on time. Students, it's super important each day you show up to work or school, whatever you want to call it, on time. Okay? Respect the teacher's right to teach and other students' right to learn. So each teacher, they've worked so hard each day to create amazing lessons for you. It's so important that you give the teachers the ability to start their lessons on time and be ready to learn. Follow classroom rules, policies, and expectations. The best person to talk to about each class is your teacher. So some of you will be getting new classes this semester, and so you're going to have to try especially hard at the very beginning of this semester to think about what does this teacher expect from me to be successful, because we want you to be successful and you want yourself to be successful. Be prepared for class each day and do your best. One thing, like a key tip that will help you out, is to check PowerSchool regularly. So students, you have the ability through your Chromebooks, or if you have a device at home and parents can get on to check PowerSchool regularly, that will help you keep your grades up and be you doing the best in class as far as grades go. A couple other reminders: no hats, hoodies, or gum. I know it's getting kind of cold outside. We're coming with sweaters, but as soon as we're in the building, our hoodies need to be off, hats off, and absolutely no gum in any classes. And like Dr. Yost mentioned, keeping the phone off and in your backpack. That's the best way to make sure you're following that rule, is keep it off, keep it in your backpack, and you'll be good to go.
All right.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so lunchtime expectations. We love when it's lunchtime. I just want to review a few things that we have when we're going to lunch. Make sure that all of your food is eaten in the commons area at the lunch tables. So we're not taking any food outside. That's not a place for the food. If you're still eating, make sure you stay inside the commons area and eat while you're at the lunch table. Make sure that we clean up after ourselves. We've been pretty good throughout most of the year. However, the last few weeks of December, they're starting to get to be where a lot of you were leaving your trash and food on the table, and then you'd head outside. We can't be having that, and if we don't start getting better at that, then we're going to have to go back to like we're in elementary school, where you'll have to raise your hand, and one of us or a custodian will have to come around and excuse you one by one. We don't want to have to get to that. So make sure that you're just being responsible. Clean up after yourself before you head outside. Also, when you're finished eating and you do head outside, you've got two options. You don't have to go outside. If you want to stay in the commons area, you can, but you need to stay sitting down. You're not up wandering around, walking around in the commons area. If you want to be inside, stay seated at the table. If you want to be outside, then you can get up and head outside. If you go outside, you're going to stay outside, though. We're not going inside, outside. You're going to stay in one spot or the other. So know before you go. If you want to stay inside, stay inside. But if you're going to head outside, then once you go, you're going outside for the whole rest of the time. Be respectful of others. Give them their space and their common courtesy as well. And just do things that make sure, like follow the golden rule. Do unto others as you'd have them do to you. Make sure you keep your phone off. Just because it's lunchtime does not mean that you can pull out your phone. This is still a no phone zone all the way through the entire school day until 2 o'clock at the end of the day. So keep your phone off and in your backpack. And like Mr. Finlinson said, if you do need to use it, go into the office. And that's a spot that you can use your phone if you have to. The outside PE equipment, we're happy to have that out there for you guys. We've got soccer balls, basketballs, things like that. But make sure that when lunch is over, bring it back to the rack and put it there, because that's going to continue to allow you to have it for the next day. If we don't bring it back, then you're going to lose out on the equipment, and then you're not going to have anything to do when you're outside during lunch. And finally, the last one is when that bell rings and it's time to go to class, get to class. Hurry and come inside, because your teachers are waiting for you, and they do have an amazing lesson prepared for you. And so we want to be respectful of them. And so come straight in so that we can continue to have those privileges of being able to go outside for lunchtime.
Especially on that, when those of you who are outside, if you're out on the soccer fields really far out there and that bell rings, it's hard for you to get back on time. So you need to think about where you are, especially toward the end of lunch, because class is still going to be starting 3 minutes after the bell rings.
And you've got the warning bell too.
Yep.
And so if you're like in the intense game of soccer and you're like, oh, and you've got the warning bell, and you know that, okay, in 5 more minutes, that last bell's going to ring and we got to go to class. So it's not like, oh, so you've got that. So make sure you hear it and know that you've got a few minutes left. But then when that final bell rings to get to class, hurry and get to class so you're not late.
All right, here's one that I want to just spend a couple of minutes with. Passing time, hallways, and being to class on time. Always just a couple reminders. Always walk in the hallways, and that's really for safety. If we're running around, it creates chaos, and the last thing we would want to happen to any student is for them to fall and get hurt seriously. So always walk. No hanging out between classes. We need to be focused. So if you're going from upstairs to maybe the gym, for example, you need to go just straight there. Tell your friends hi in the hallways, but you really need to stay moving. As soon as you stop, that's when you're opening yourself up for potentially being late to class. And that's the next one, be on time to class. Walk on the right side of the hallways. And like I had mentioned earlier, please keep your hands to yourself. One thing that I have seen in the hallways as well lately is people whistling and making loud yells or screams. Like, that's got to stop. The hallway needs to be a place that is comfortable for everybody, and that kind of just makes people feel not comfortable. And we want you to be on class, on time, and no hanging out. As soon as you stop, that's when it's like, oh, hangout's on. But really, let's be focused to our next class.
All right. Awesome. Okay, this one is a very super important and serious one, you guys. Absolutely no weapons of any kind are allowed on campus, and this includes look-alike weapons. There is zero tolerance for that at school. We need to make sure that everyone is safe at school. We all deserve that. Students, adults, everybody here deserves to be able to feel safe when we come to school. So what happens if you bring a weapon to school? That is immediate suspension for at least a minimum of a quarter, if not longer. And so we do not want that to happen. And so make sure that those stay at home. That includes vapes and drugs as well. Vapes and drugs are also not tolerated at school. There is zero tolerance for that. So no vapes or illegal substances, drugs, alcohol, tobacco, etc. None of that is allowed here on our school campus. And if you bring any of that to school, it is an immediate suspension, expulsion from school for a minimum of 1 quarter. And so don't do it. We don't want to have that happen. And so just make sure that those things are at home or not at all.
And absolutely with our dress too, with our dress code, like we seriously can't be promoting anything like that as well. So any type of drugs, alcohol, weapons, tobacco, vapes, anything like that, if we have apparel that has any of that, that's just not allowed or permitted at school.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, here's one that riding the bus, getting to school is so important, and it helps you get to school on time, prepared, like we had already talked about earlier in this video. But riding the bus is a privilege. So basically, a privilege means it's something that you have, but it could be taken away. And do we want to do that? No, but we have to make sure the bus is a safe place. So following the bus rules, talking to your driver, letting them know what's going on. If there's situations on the bus that aren't appropriate, where kids are not following the bus rules, talk to your driver, see what you can do to make the bus a safe place. Just a couple of rules on the bus to follow is to observe the same conduct as in the classroom. Basically, it's a classroom on wheels. Be courteous. Don't eat or drink on the bus. Keep it clean. Cooperate with the driver. Don't be disruptive. Stay in your seat. No up and down. Just sit down, okay? Keep your hands and feet inside the bus, so no hands outside the windows. And the driver is authorized to assign seats, so they have that authority to do that. So be respectful to your driver.
And the one thing is the school bus is an extension of the school, and that's why it's called school buses. So every rule that applies here at the school at Pineview also applies there on the bus as well. So make sure you just be respectful on the bus.
And all buses do have video that shows audio and visual. So if we need that, we can always review the bus footage.
Yep. All right. So students, thank you guys for allowing us to talk to you a little bit about the Fossil 5 and our school rules. So just a reminder, be respectful, resilient, responsible, safe, and kind. And as you do these things, we'll have an amazing second half of the school year. We're super excited to have you back.
Okay, like Dr. Yost said, we all want this next half of the school year to be better than it was even. The first half was great, but I'm excited to see all of you today. And let's just have a great year. Make it a excellent second semester. Good to see you guys.